Welcome to Connected. I'm your host, Haley Trimboli, and whether you are PhD curious or navigating your program or wondering what your fellow graduates are up to, this podcast is your go-to for inspiring stories, actionable insights, and meaningful connections within the PhD community. All right, today's guest is someone whose journey truly spans the globe. Sophia Diop is a certified chef, a multilingual professional, and entrepreneur with advanced degrees in accounting, finance, leadership, and international business. She holds certifications from prestigious institutions like Harvard and blends expertise across IT, consulting, and peace building. Her dissertation focuses on athlete leadership in international relations and peace building, bringing a fascinating lens to global diplomacy. And from navigating multiple industries to balancing a PhD with an already dynamic career, Sophia's story is packed with lessons in resilience, ambition, and global thinking. So, Sophia, welcome to the podcast. Where does this podcast find you today?
Right now, I'm in Los Angeles.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's just jump right into it. What initially inspired you to pursue a PhD, and why the Global Leadership and Change program at Pepperdine?
Well, this is a really mighty funny story, and don't know if everybody is ready to laugh right now. So I remember going to school when I was, let's say, 5 years old, and my mom was taking me to school. And I asked my mom, I said, well, I'm starting school, but what's the highest level of school? And she said, that's a doctorate. I said, huh, interesting. So I'll go all the way to the top. I won't stop anywhere in the middle. Here I am. You see how sometimes words carry so much power? So, yeah, I never stopped thinking about the doctorate since then.
Wow. And so 5-year-old to now, I mean, that's truly amazing. I haven't heard that one yet. Why Pepperdine, the Global Leadership and Change specifically?
I mean, Pepperdine is a school that has a really great reputation. And I like also a school where the instructors and the student really come together to work together and are also dedicated to each other. And that's the reason why I chose Pepperdine.
Yeah. And then, so you were 5, your mom tells you about what the highest level of education is. You're like, yes, I'm going to do it. Did you have others in your world, your life, who had gotten to the doctorate level that you were sort of looking to better understand the process? Or did you just know you were doing it and, you know, yeah.
I knew I was doing it because I am the type of person that finish everything that she starts. I don't want to stop in the middle. I want to see, and I'm curious. I want to see what is there all the way to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were just driven to keep going. So you have a very diverse background in business, IT, consulting. Like, what made this the right moment in your life to begin the PH journey with already so many other things going on?
I took a break between each degrees to figure out, to see what I'm more passionate about. But when it comes to the topic of interest for the doctorate, this also comes from my childhood because the expertise comes from international business, diplomacy, which also has international politics. So I grew up a little bit in that environment. So I had a little bit of some sense of really what I wanted. I had also some offer within that environment right before I started, and I had done leadership too. So having a PhD to me was the next step that made sense.
Yeah. So it wasn't like you had a break, you had some time, but it just made sense to go to that level, even though, you had this other really diverse and experienced background, but this was the next move. And so with the other disciplines that you've studied across, I mean, from culinary arts, leadership, acting, finance, like, how did those experiences help shape your perspective when you went into the PhD program?
When you get into the PhD program, you bring a lot of different facets. You have also a network. Here we are talking about leadership. What's interesting about leadership is that you can just pull from different industries. In leadership also, you can also bring technology. We have today technology in almost everything. So it was very interesting for me also to take all the background from acting as well when it comes to speaking, when it comes to the speech, when it comes to leadership. That also come into play because speech to some extent also help in acting. This is something also that you learn in acting. This is also something that you learn in drama, And using that when you see the speech of politician, when you see a speech of, great people like Muhammad Ali, these are all the element that you learn in speech. These are all the element also that you learn in acting, and the aspect, my culinary aspect, this is also an element that I grew up with. And this is another element that give me some sense of calmness and also therapeutic to me. And we understand how the doctoral can be. It can be stressful, but I have that balance that also helped me. So, yeah.
Yeah. So they sound like different areas, but really they're all supporting one another. They've helped lead to certain aspects of leadership. Like, I love the acting comparison because I was just at a conference this past weekend and somebody was talking about using improv to help leaders be better leaders. And so it sounds like they've just sort of enhanced your experience.
What's interesting with that also, when you learn to speak in public, is that you have also to use other items, put them on top of your head. Make sure you walk and speak without it falling. So this is also part of it,
Yeah, so it did influence you. So when you started the program, what was your vision? Like, were you hoping that it would just enhance your current work, lead to something entirely new, like teaching into academia? But what were sort of your expectations?
My expectation was mainly my growth, which I've seen throughout the program. I wanted also to have a bigger connection. I was curious. I wanted to learn different aspects of education that I didn't know. This is something that I've learned, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. The PhD journey is really a personal journey. And I hear that again and again. Like the bachelor's and master's could be preparing you, but the PhD, you really bring yourself to it. So for those trying to figure out if a PhD is right for them, what helped you feel confident in your decision that you could share with any listeners?
Like, again, you said, that's something that's very subjective. Some people will tell you, oh, no, I don't think it's important to my career and all that, but I don't think the doctorate is necessary about your career. I don't think it's necessary about how much you'll make later on. I feel like that's an investment for you personally. And this is what I did also for myself, and people will not necessarily see how it is until the end when they get a degree in their hand. That satisfaction that nobody can take away from you. And for me, education is something that I invest in again and again if I have to. Why? Because in this life, anything you get, the money, everything that you receive can be taken away. Your car can be taken away. Who's going to take your education away? Who's going to take that doctor title away? So to me, these are all the elements you need to think of.
Yeah, I love that. I really appreciate your perspective. And I do think that's something that somebody would need to be reflecting on before making that decision because it's a huge commitment. Okay, so then you get into the PhD program. Can you shed a little light on just your application process? I like to sort of bring light to that for those who might be interested to sort of unpack, what different schools require, what it was like for you, what helped you be successful in actually applying and getting into the program.
I'll say my process was pretty smooth. And I think I applied a little bit before the COVID. And I received my acceptance letter maybe December of 2019. So I already had a GMAT and a GRE when I was applying. I had to write a letter. I had to have an interview, which I had with Dr. June. And it went smoothly. It wasn't that hard.
Yeah, so every process is so different. I'm so happy to hear that yours was smooth. And I think that's important to hear because sometimes it can feel very daunting or stressful, but like that's not everybody's experience. So I appreciate you sharing that. So then you get into the program. And how did you land on the topic of athlete leadership and peace building? And why is this work personally meaningful for you?
Again, with this program, one really have to decide the topic of interest. Sport to me is a topic of interest. Politics is a topic of interest. Diplomacy was a topic of interest. International relations was also a topic of interest. So where do they come from and how did I put them together is actually the main question. So I think I mentioned before, I come from a family that has been in politics, in international relations, in sport. But in order to write a dissertation, you have to find a gap in research. You have to find something that's unique that was never researched before or built up on something else. So I saw an action of an athlete. I'll give an example, Didier Drogba, for example. And I see this in an athlete that contributed to peace. We have different athletes like David Beckham for UNICEF, and they tend to be used as ambassadors for peace in different countries, but they were never given the flowers, And I saw that, I thought about that, and I said, well, it's important to understand the action of those athletes when it comes to diplomacy, when it comes to peace building. These are people that sometimes risk their life. These are people also that sometimes put all the economy, all the money also that they have to help others. It's not just about the government. Sometimes when the government also is not doing their job, they come in and try to cover for the government. But these are not elements that are spoken about as much. And I wanted to put some light into that. And this is really what helped me focus on that subject.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that background. A couple questions on this. The first is, can you share a little bit about like your research methodologies, how you chose it for this particular research, your dissertation, et cetera, to kind of shine some light on how others might navigate making those choices, decisions?
So basically mine, I've used a qualitative method. But with that qualitative method, I also use ENA, which ENA tend to be a little bit of quantitative. So this is really the element that I've used for my studies.
Okay, thank you for that. And then as far as like, where do you hope to take your research? Like, do you plan to continue working in this space, or, are you feeling satisfied with the research conducted within this dissertation? Sort of next steps?
Next step is really working with big organization, working with athletes, which I already enjoyed during my interviews with them. And, working with organizations like the Olympic organization, FIFA, NFL, NBA, and United Nations, why not?
Yeah, amazing. And what are some of the practical applications that you might have found from your dissertation or that you're thinking about? Like for any listener here to be like, oh, okay, yeah, like I see how that's getting applied. Just sort of thinking about, the dissertation is this huge body of work. So, what is something that's sort of practical from it that you think about applying?
What is really interesting, thank you for asking this question, is that you get the opportunity of creating your own model, which I did for my dissertation, the SMD model. And this has also 3 steps. The first step is really reaching out to different athletes and making sure that they've already done some action regarding peace building, and then try to balance and try to align the issue that's happening in a specific place and making sure that those athletes also have the skill to be able to help with peace building. And they also have to accept upon being invited. The second step is being able to talk to those athletes and more specifically, being able to train them when it comes to diplomacy. And then the third step is being able to have them talk to people in those specific countries. And good example of that, the little action that I'm already doing with United Nations, is not exactly like that. It doesn't really follow that model, but following that model will make it will make it easier.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, you're truly like contributing to the space with that. So curious because it's touching on so many different things. Like what sort of theories that you brought into this research to support it?
I had different theories. So I went through the motivational theories, and I also, let me think about others. I went to all like Kotter. So these are two main theories that I've used. Yeah.
Amazing. So what has been one of the most rewarding aspects of your research journey so far?
Most rewarding is the degree first. The degree and the DI in front of the name, but mostly the growth. The network that I've built, the great mind that I got to work with, meeting people from different culture, from different countries, especially that, my expertise is also on international relations. So all that brought me a wealth of information. a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, that's amazing. So many rewarding pieces of it from networking, which is really the power of the PhD program is you have folks who are coming in and very committed. So you get to share your ideas and thoughts and network with them. And you've balanced your doctoral studies with a demanding professional life. So what does a typical week look like for you and how do you manage it all?
Oh, I mean, it depends from one week to the other. If I'm booked for my own business, then I jump on it and do it. But mostly Monday and Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday through Wednesday is mostly technology. And then the rest of the week is really my business. Business, learning new skills.
Yeah, being very disciplined with your time seems to help you there. And were there moments during the program where you felt overwhelmed or unsure? And if so, how did you navigate them?
That's usually toward the end. Okay, so that's usually starting to the how do you call that? To see if you can actually proceed to your interviews. I forgot the name how you call that. There's a term for that. When you have to wait until you get your approved to proceed with your interviews. That aspect was a little bit hard for me.
Yeah, the IRB.
Thank you, the IRB process. Yeah, I just want to walk. I don't like to just wait. But yeah, this is me and my impatience. From that to the defense, not the defense actually. Yeah, the defense. The prelim is okay, and the defense is that's the main element. So that, and then which other aspect? I know there was another aspect, but I don't know.
Those were the main ones.
Yeah. And how did I navigate that? Having other things to do other than the dissertation is really what helped. And also my chair. I had one of the best chairs. It was more like lenient. It was more understanding. And even my boss also helped. So having the right support around and having other source of distraction outside of that helped me.
Yeah, that's so wise. I thank you for sharing that because I do think it's like you can sit there and wait. I mean, it could take a month, month and a half, even longer, right? And so what good is it doing at the end of the day? Like, what else can you dive into? Start to think of something else and trust the process. Yeah. And I've also heard that having a supportive chair for your dissertation is so crucial. So it sounds like you're really re-emphasizing that.
It's definitely important.
Yeah. So you are very skilled in so many different areas from chef, researcher, tech specialist. Like, how do you bring your full self into the academic work when you have all of that as well?
I'll say that the most important or the key element or the key factor here is remaining focused. So if I am in academia, I'm focusing on that at the moment. If I'm doing something in the culinary, then I'm focusing on that at the moment. I cannot be sitting here doing, let's say, technology and then thinking about cooking. Being present is key.
Yeah, really helpful. Thanks for sharing that. So I know you've mentioned networking a few times being really important to your program and helping you grow. So how have your professors or peers influenced the way that you think about global leadership?
I had in my committee a lot of professors that travel constantly over the world. Some of them work with a lot of foundations. Some of them tend to also link me to people from different countries to work with. Some of them also have a little bit of a similar background as me in international relations as well. And that really helped me.
Yeah, that's great. And so how do you hope to apply your research in the real world, like whether through policy, advocacy, or global consulting? I know you sort of already spoke to a little bit, so I don't know if you have anything to build on here or share.
Global consulting, with the organization that I previously mentioned, global consulting is really the way to go for me.
Yeah. And so what's next for you once like what's next? Are there new projects, businesses, research directions you're excited to pursue?
Business and research for now.
Yeah. Great. Well, I have two final questions that I ask every guest. So the first one is, what's one book, podcast, or article that every PhD student should read or listen to?
I wouldn't necessarily say every PhD student, but these are books that can actually be read for life. I'll say the first one is Man's Search for Meaning, and the other one is from Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence. Why I'm saying that is because sometimes you have to look within yourself, but not outside, to see the reason why you want to do something. Let's say the reason why you want to do a PhD, it has really nothing to see with the world. Are you okay with that first? So that's the emotional intelligence aspect. Not only will help you in that, but it will help you also in different aspects of life. So how many books yes did you ask?
What was that? Yeah. However many. Yeah, unless you had others that you wanted to recommend.
Other one that I will say this has been really a great book for me, for my life. And this is a book that helped me understand anything about international relations. And that's Clash of Civilization, Samuel Huntington.
Okay, these are great. Well, you kind of gave us a lot of different areas, so appreciate you sharing those, and I'll make sure to link to those in the notes. Okay, final question. If you could go back and give yourself, your younger self, one piece of advice before starting your PhD, what would it be?
Don't think too much. Don't listen to people. Just look within yourself and just go.
Mm,
No, I
that's
mean, I'm
great.
saying that because thinking too much keep us from moving forward. It delays us.
Yeah, trust yourself, that emotional intelligence piece, look within. I love how you've sort of highlighted that throughout this conversation. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time, your insights, your experience with us today. So, really appreciate it. And where is the best place for people to follow your work or connect with you online?
I think LinkedIn, Diop Sophia.
Great. Well, we will link to that in the show notes. So if anybody would like to connect with you, that you are there. So thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
What a great conversation with Sophia. I thought a red thread or a theme throughout our conversation was being very sure and knowing internally that this is the right thing for you and making your decisions from that place, all the way from beginning a PhD journey to choosing your dissertation topic and trying to find those interests within that you want to continue to pursue and disseminate and share or apply with others, to the book recommendations that she had around emotional intelligence. And again, just really turning inward and understanding how that's leading you on your journey to continue forward. So great conversation. What resonated with you the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a message or a comment. And thank you for tuning in to Connected today. You can find all of the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone in your PhD community. And be sure to follow along on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube for more conversations like this. I hope to see you next time, and let's stay connected.